But for me, it feels like it's trying to make everything internally be kind of um like keep a certain homeostasis of my emotional state somehow, or kind of it is important for everything internally for me to be aligned, and when it's not aligned like this, it feels very yeah, like it's being pulled apart somehow.
Hello, Amelia here. What you are about to experience is an INFP exploring the idea of what does self-love look like as a busy single mom. This is a real person, real fears, real doubts, real pain. And this is the second of the third session. So if this is the first one you're tuning into and want to go back and start with the first session, the link is in the description below. And in this session, we cover topics that are the importance of self-love, focusing during distracting times, understanding your inner parent, the power of pausing before taking action, avoiding regret, making informed decisions, and finding harmony within you to connect to all of you. So working together versus working against you. And how we cover this is with the roundtable model. And if you are new to this or have any questions about it, there's a blog post in the description below for you, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, and thank you so much for once again joining. This is session 2. I'm off that. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing well today. It's been a good day.
Nice. And how was your past week with the self-love and checking out when you were not wanting to kind of stick to the routines and go off and chase all the fun ideas and fun excitement that we talked about last time, your inner parent wanting to go do other things?
Yeah. Yeah, so first thing, as far as the self-love, I just felt more compassion for myself this past week.
Nice.
So like even when I catch myself like doing things that I don't think are good, or things that I go against what I want to do overall, it's like I've been more patient with myself.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been good.
And how is that? And how is that changing other things that you've got going on?
So it's when I'm it becomes easier to redirect myself.
Nice.
Because like if I, in the past when I catch myself, kind of drifting off or doing things that I said I wouldn't do, um, or other things like that. And if I get tough on myself, it just brings up this resistance that I still don't want to do it. So, but if I'm just patient and redirect myself, gently, then it just becomes easier to just, do what needs to be done.
Nice. And that's such a great example because so many people try to harshly connect and tell themselves what they don't want, because it's not fun to see yourself doing patterns and be doing patterns that are throwing you off. No one wants that. And a lot of people just beat themselves up essentially over it. And there's lots of books out there that I think also encourage this as well. Like just say fuck it to everything, and just don't regard yourself, or just tell yourself to shut up. And it's interesting that you're seeing that as you show compassion to yourself in these situations, then you can get a different result, and the different result is often more helpful than just being like, God, we're in this again, because it is frustrating, and we don't want no one wants to be distracting themselves intentionally. So that's great. So you said that you were gently putting yourself back on track. What did that look like? So give me more details on that.
Okay, so like at work, for example, I'll be working on something, and then like it happens usually when because I work on the computer, and if it's like moving slowly, so I, click on something and I don't have to wait for it to actually load and do what I wanted to do. And then I get frustrated waiting for it. And then I'm like, go look at my phone for a little bit and start scrolling and then get sidetracked. And I'm over here on my phone. Meanwhile, my work is just here waiting for me. So that's kind of what I've noticed. Um, it, it, it doesn't happen. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but like when I'm busy, it doesn't really happen because I'm really focused on getting what needs to be done. But like when it's kind of like slowish or stuff like that, then it just feels like I don't have enough, I don't know, adrenaline or something to keep focused on that. So I kind of go and need more stimulation in other ways. So when I notice myself doing that, I'm just like, I kind of just like chuckle at myself a little bit that I'm doing it. And I'm like, okay, let me get back here. So it's just kind of been an ongoing thing of redirecting myself that way. But it's been easier to catch myself and redirect. So I'm not like scrolling my phone for 15 minutes and then get mad at myself and then ruin my whole mood for the whole thing, for the whole shift. So
Nice.
it's
Nice. That's
catch
good.
myself sooner.
And then you said that you're laughing at yourself because it is nice to be able to bring humor to
Yeah,
these
it helps.
situations if you can. People are not always in the situation that they can, but that is
Yeah.
absolutely one way to approach it. And I've actually done that with clients and they've thanked me for that later on.
It does help because like you take it too seriously. I mean, it is serious in some level, but like just yeah, you're able to just laugh a little bit. It's easier.
Yeah. And so the part that you're talking about is the inner parent, the pioneer.
Yeah.
The inner parent is the role, the pioneer is the part that shows up in
Mm-hmm.
that role for the INFP. And that is right here in the letters, just so people can follow us. And
Mm-hmm.
what would you say? So you're laughing at it, that's part of you, which is great. What else? So what would you say to this pioneer? The pioneer is the nickname. The official name is the outward intuition, with the
Mm-hmm.
nickname of NE, capital N, lowercase e. So if we do shortcuts later on, that's what that means, but I'll say it in the subtitles. What would you say to this inner parent part of you, the pioneer who wants once the excitement, likes the adrenaline, and when it's not getting that, it starts kind of going like, I need this. Where do I get this? Oh, I'll find it in other places, my phone, all these other spots. What would you say to that part when it's wanting to go do that?
Well, what's been helpful is just reminding that part of me that we can do that later.
Hmm.
Like, let's finish what we have to do now, and then I kind of promise myself a little bit of an extra break, like a deliberate break where I can just, you know, goof off a little bit or to on the phone or whatever. Um, yeah, I mean that's been helpful. Just like because when I try to deny that the need that it has for stimulation, it just also it doesn't work either. So it wants to be validated that is something that it needs. It's it's not just being a bad parent, it's and leaving the family in the lurch by goofing off somewhere. It needs that stimulation. It needs that to function and to be happy.
Awesome. And what does the
So,
validation sound like?
um, it's like yes, I know this is boring. There's a lot more fun things to do out there, a lot more new things to discover. But the sooner we finish this, the more time we can have later to spend on these things.
Mm.
Um, but kind of like that is the way it goes for me. And hmm, it's Yeah, it's hard to put into words actually because I don't really use that many words internally. So it's more like a feeling that goes there, or like maybe more like images in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's kind of a feeling that yes, I know this is, this is not fun for you, and this is like um it's like draining for the inner parent to be doing this repetitive things. It's really draining. So it is, I understand that it's draining for you and it's valid. Um, but it's, I don't know how to phrase it, because there's a part of the inner parent that also does feel like is responsible as well for the other part of me, because mm, I don't know how to say it. Um, I don't know. In a way, I'm kind of also appealing to the sense of unity or mutual unity internally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, not sure what else. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah. So you said unity, and does that part of you, first of all, how did that part of you resonate with what you said when when I was telling you, like, what examples do you have for validation? And you said those really nice words of being appreciative of it, you know, knowing that it likes the excitement, but at the same time, like, it's okay to be bored. It's not something bad right now. How did that part of you resonate with what you were saying?
It felt seen, I suppose, or
Nice.
heard.
Nice.
Yeah, acknowledged.
Because that's what we need these different parts of us to feel when we're starting to engage with them or engage with them more. Because if they don't feel seen and acknowledged or heard, then they're not going to want to be, as you said, more of a unit than a
Yeah,
more
yeah,
individual parts trying to get what they want and just having this giant tug of war, which often occurs
yes,
with people.
exactly.
So that's amazing. Do you ever thank this part of you for appreciating, like, bringing the excitement, bringing the possibilities, bringing the, because it brings a lot of fun into your life. It brings a lot of
Yeah,
drive for more, because that's really important as well. Do you thank that part of you?
I have actually not thought of thanking that part of me. It's as In a way, I've kind of taken for granted that the enjoyment that it gets from doing what it does is it's just, gratitude enough, I suppose. Or it's like its own reward. So it hasn't occurred to me to thank you, but that is a very good point. That's a
Yeah.
very good.
Try thinking it now and see how it does.
Yeah, it just brings a feeling of like mm, unclenching, if that makes sense. Like when I like thank him internally, it's like something relaxes inside of me.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's really what it needs too, because it's got its own role to play, which is necessary for you to feel like who you are, to you for you to get what you want in life, and for you to be internally calm as
Yes.
well. And being appreciated and being seen for the assets that it brings to your life, even though it's frustrating
Yeah.
at times, can help. I feel it can help it be okay with being calmer, and or like be okay with not always sorry, be okay when it needs to just chill. Cause it's like I can chill and I'm appreciated even when I'm pulling the rein or the reins are being pulled back on me. It's like, I hear you, I see you, I get it. I get like, hey, pioneer, you could name this part of you if you want to, or call it your inner parent, or call it whatever you want. When you say words like, hey, pioneer, I really appreciate your drive for wanting us to go places, for wanting to find the excitement to keep growing and keep learning. And at the same time, for all of us to keep going in the direction you want to go, we need you. We meaning this 10-year-old of yours, the 3-year-old of yours, your adult self, like to get that unity, we need you to calm down. So I like your ability to go there and find possibilities is so exciting. And to keep that more in a way that works for everybody, we just need you to calm down a little bit. Like, thank you for being who you are and bringing what you bring to this table. Because that usually makes that part of you feel seen as well.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Yes, as you're saying that, I mean, it comes up for me that um, the inner parent is often blamed by usually the adult and the 10-year-old when things go awry or when we get into scrapes and stuff like that. So um, there's a resistance to letting the inner parent do what it does best, or to be his full self.
When you say
Because
blamed, do you mean like when things go wrong, you guys go like, God, here we go again. Like this part isn't doing what we need it to.
yes, because like the inner parent, it just likes to, because it's chasing the new things or shiny things or excitement or new ideas, and it kind of jumps before thinking, or it's like you get an idea and you jump after the idea, and so that inevitably leads to some hairy situations, I suppose. So yeah, and then that it feels very jarring to the 10-year-old, especially the introverted sensing, to have that kind of, because it makes that internal environment that I have feel very unsettled or unsafe, actually, when we are jumping from one thing to another.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there is definitely a tug of war there between the inner parent and the 10-year-old.
Yeah, because those inner parts of you often can't keep up when you're constantly jumping to the new thing.
Yes, yes.
How does your pioneer, that outward intuition feel about what it just heard?
Um, yeah, it just feels um, hmm, validated again. I guess that's the word I would use. Like, um, it is happy that this was acknowledged, that the way that it is being treated by the other ones is acknowledged, and that it is hurtful for it to always be blamed for who he is, basically.
Yeah. Yep. And how does it feel about the 10-year old and adult self being frustrated that it just is on this path of like, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go?
Um, I feel like they're reluctant to relinquish control. They feel like they have control of the internal environment. So you know, the pioneer being out there wanting to do things um, challenges that control, and it feels frustrating for them to always do this. So I guess what they would need is a little bit more. like a pause before jumping.
A
Like
pause
maybe,
before jumping.
yeah, does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because usually when people jump to whatever they're going to jump to next, getting a puppy, my friend just got a puppy, getting a puppy, getting a this, buying a this, getting this new thing in life, it's going to change
Mhm.
things going forward. It's going to maybe cost money. It might financially drain you for a while. It might
Right.
cost you time and energy. Like I said, told you I'm changing banks right now. And that's
Mm.
going to be a great thing in the future. But right now, that I'm having to deal
Okay.
with in the moment, this is creating lots of things that I have to deal with and things going wrong and not getting
Mm.
the results. So, um, pauses make a lot of sense for trying to figure
Yeah.
out also, is this a good jump for me? Because usually when people just start jumping, they're usually jumping in ways that aren't always good for them. And if they can
Mm.
pause before they jump, it can allow your 10-year-old to go, that historian can look back on the past and go, oh, remember when I did that from the past? That was helpful, or this thing wasn't that helpful. So it's not saying everything I did in the past like this was bad. It's saying like, okay,
Mhm.
let me gather actually good information versus biased information. That's just this blanket statement of bad or
Mhm.
good. So it's like, what can your historian bring to the table to help make the decision?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Um, yeah, what came up for me there too when you said the pioneers look into the future, like this could be good in the future. Um, like the historian cannot see that. It only can go and see what's in the past. Um, so there needs to be a certain trust between the two, because sometimes you may not have had this happen in the past, or what happened in the past doesn't mean that's going to be the same in the future. So um, yeah, there needs to be trust between the outer face and intuition and the inner facing sensing.
Yeah. And do you feel like pausing or just slowing things down a bit will
Yeah,
help with that trust to get a little stronger between the two of those parts?
I think it would help. Um, it will probably not be enough for a while. There's other things I think that have to come on board at the same time for that pause to be effective. Because sometimes there is an opportunity that the inner parent sees and wants to jump on it, and then you know um, the adult and the 10-year-old are putting the brakes on, and then by the time they decide to it's okay to jump, the opportunity has passed.
Yep.
So there's kind of needs to be, sometimes we do have to jump before we actually sure. Sometimes you know,
Yep.
yeah. And I think that brings also the 3-year-old in there, because there's this feeling of I'm not going to be able to handle the trouble that comes from this. I do not have, I'm not capable of handling whatever the consequences are. So that's a fear there as well.
Okay. So
So,
sometimes it's good to know because sometimes you're right, you just have to act. And then
mm-hmm,
if you act in that way, like let's say something comes to you, you have 12 hours to say yes, or the opportunity's gone.
right, right.
What you can do in that moment is to make the best decision that you can. And if it ends up working out, great. If it doesn't end up working out, you can learn from that. What didn't I do well? What did I do well in that situation?
Right.
How do
Okay.
I not keep putting myself in these situations that I just keep getting screwed over? Because if you
Mm,
keep growing or if you keep learning from what you're doing, then
mm-hmm.
then situations will stop going from like good to bad and they'll just become situations.
Right. Right. Yes, definitely.
And you can
Definitely
even
there.
go back. and look at the jumps that you've made and go, okay, what went well in those situations, what didn't go well, and what did I learn, or what did I need to learn to prevent me from getting tied up and hurt in the past.
Yep. That's good.
So do you have a particularly frustrating situation that has happened to you where you feel like you jumped and the other parts of you weren't ready for it?
I'm trying to think. Well, I guess that's all that's coming up right now is this one situation also at work where I um was not happy with the schedule I had, and this opportunity came up to change my schedule. And the schedule that was the opportunity there, um, it was something that I had done similarly in the past, um, and it was okay, but not all that good. And I didn't really take um, the time to really remember or think about why I didn't like it, or what was wrong with the previous schedule before. So I just jumped on this opportunity to change the schedule, um, partly because I really was not satisfied with the schedule I had at the moment, and then I just wanted to take the opportunity while it was there. Um, so, and then after I took the schedule, the new one, um, once I started working it, I remembered all the things I did not like about it before. So now I'm waiting for another opportunity to change again.
Excellent example. So let's go around to each of these four parts of you and to see what voices or what they think, what they feel about the jump. So let's ask that adult self of yours, this spot in the top corner, your ethicist, that inward facing feeling. How is that feeling about that situation, the change?
Hmm. Well, hmm. There's not any misgivings or any that my adult may have are usually related to what the other ones in the family are going through in this case. So the IFI itself is not is neutral kind of about this move because I did not go out of my values. I didn't have to compromise anything. And I was still able to do all the things that I had to do. You know what I mean? So it didn't really affect my FI all that much, except for noticing all the turmoil of the other functions.
And how did it feel about the turmoil of the other functions?
Now that one feels not good. It just feels unsettling. It feels frustrating at times. It feels like um, they're going in different directions. And I, yeah. So it makes, from moment to moment, my feelings may swing from one extreme to the other sometimes because of this, because I guess depending on what is triggered at the moment. And it takes, I guess, a lot out of FI to come to some sort of um, a steady, because I don't know how to explain what FI does, but for me, it feels like it's trying to make everything internally be kind of um, like keep a certain homeostasis of my emotional state somehow. or kind of, it is important for everything internally for me to be aligned. And when it's not aligned like this, it feels very, um, yeah, like it's being pulled apart somehow. Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Yes.
I
That
always,
inward, yes, that inward feeling is all about, is this right for me? Am I becoming the person I want to be? Is this an expression of who I am? Does this compromise within these values that I hold? So it's a good thing that it's not triggered by the change itself.
Mhm.
And it also makes sense that it would be frustrating to sit and watch you really not be probably the person you want to be with all the inner
Right.
turmoil of
Yes, that's a good
the
way to put
shift.
it. Thank you.
So yeah, that definitely makes sense with how you're inward facing feeling. The letters are FI, big F, little I, big F for the feeling, I for the inward.
Mhm.
So moving to your inner parent, the pioneer, how is your pioneer feeling, or what is your pioneer sensing about the change? Or what information is it gathering, or what is the intuition saying about the change from the job to the new schedule?
Um, so what it said then, or what it's saying now?
What's it saying now?
Um, well, now there's a feeling of guilt a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe chagrin, maybe not so much guilt, but there's, um, yeah, I don't know if it's like intrinsic to the inner parent, that feeling, or if it's coming from the the blame or the negative feelings of the other functions.
Yeah, does it have anything
It's
else to say about the guilt?
what's another it's I guess hmm,
Or why does it feel guilty?
it, yeah, I mean, I guess it is because we jumped at this opportunity and did not turn out how we want to turn out, or what he thought it would be. He thought there would be an opportunity where I would have more free time, and it turns out I have a lot less free time.
Yeah.
So, um, and it's also like causing a lot of fatigue and my body as well. So that's part of the guilt that it's causing, um, you know, the rest of the functions, and especially the inner the sensing of the trouble. And it's, I guess, it goes along with what we said before, that it was always used to being blamed for doing this. So it's kind of like, okay, well, oops, I did it again. My
um,
bad.
and what does that part need going forward?
I think it needs encouragement to keep trying.
Yeah, because that guilt
That
can be a big challenge moving forward when it's
hmm
like it's trying its best, it's seeing opportunities, it's trying to go after the opportunities, it's trying to make your life better, it's trying to make all of your lives better, and it just didn't
mm,
work. And sometimes
yeah.
that happens in life. You can sit, you can gather the best information, you can gather all the information that is humanly possible in situations, and sometimes they just don't work out.
hmm True.
What do you feel like your this part of you learned about the situation? So essentially what will it do differently next time?
Um, I think what I learned about this is to weigh things a little more before making the jump, or to because it was only looking at the positives that we would get from this change, and it did not really take into account all the possible negatives. Um,
which is a challenge of that pioneer, because it's like, this is exciting. I can see all these amazing solutions that can come from this part of you. And then it's like, it can struggle to see like the bad things, because it's like, look at this could be happening. This could be happening. It doesn't see all the nitty gritty details of what brings, what comes with that exciting opportunity.
Yeah.
So
what's coming up for me right now is that, I mean, the pioneer is not really the decision making function, right? It's the one that's looking for opportunities. So the decision really should have been of the adult.
Yeah.
So then it brings another thing, I guess, for the adult did not really step up there, or just kind of let pioneer lead, without really taking the time to see is this good for us.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good point, because rarely is it one. I think a lot of people feel guilty about things that there are other things going on as well. So the guilt that your inner parent, that pioneer, is feeling might not be the entire story that it is. So it's like, it's okay to feel guilty. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to be frustrated that things didn't go that way. That shows that it's empathetic. It shows that it cares about trying to do the best for all four parts of you. And at the same time, maybe it just needed more support, as you said, support and encouragement next time.
Yeah. I guess it comes back to the pause for the inner parent. That pause would have been good, would have been helpful here. You know, maybe give it. Maybe I should have slept on it before making that move. You know, like take some time to really let it see how it feels, and let my other functions bring up their point of view on this particular move.
Yeah. And how is are you ready to move to the next one, or does your inner parent need anything else with this?
Yeah, we can move to the next one.
Okay, cool. So moving on to the 10-year-old inner child, that for the INFP, the part that plays out for the INFP is that historian that looks at your past experiences, what has gone well, what hasn't gone well, and often gathers information in black or white terms. So this was all bad, this was all good. We shouldn't do that because every time in our past this has gone wrong. So what is your 10-year-old saying about this situation with the change of schedule?
Well, he's saying, I told you so, but you didn't listen to me. That's what he's saying. Like, nobody listens to me.
How does that feel for your historian to say?
I guess it's just releasing some steam as it says that, because it does feel very frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would be frustrating to have this valuable information and nobody checks in on them, and they just go and make the decisions, and then that part of you is dragged along with it. So that would make a lot of sense that it would be frustrated. What does your historian need going forward in these situations?
I guess it does need to be checked in with, and like actually taken seriously.
Yes.
It's like it's a little it's a little contradictory the way that like, because on one hand, the adult is kind of on the same side as the 10-year-old, and they're kind of both of them work together to kind of not, to hold back on that, parent. On the other hand, the adult doesn't really check in with the 10-year-old as much. It's kind of just like assumes that it
Mm.
knows what it feels, but it's not really actually checking and taking what it says seriously.
Yeah. Yep. And how does your historian feel about that?
Um, well, I guess hurt in some way for not being taken seriously, and also mistrustful. Um, yeah, because like the adults in this place um, keep making mistakes, and they're not checking with him what he wants. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel like a lot of children can feel the same way about their parents, where they keep seeing them do the same dumb shit. And it's like, here we go again. Here we go again. Here we go again. When the hell are we going to stop this shit? So,
yeah. I
yes.
guess yeah. I guess this is kind of also not just internal, but also in general in life. When the child gets into the preteens and teens, it's like seeing that the parents really do not know anything, that everybody is just as lost. So, but it takes a while for, I guess, for the child to go through their teens and realize that this is just how it is. That, you know, this is a kind of part of like the human condition that we don't really know. Not, you know, we can do the best that we can, but we don't really. There's a lot that we don't know that we can't control.
Yeah. So, does the historian need to learn that what they're doing, them being the pioneer and the ethicist, that adult self and inner parent of yours, doesn't have to mean that it's not considered or not looked after, or
Mhm.
however it can feel hurt, because you said it can feel hurt and stressed. It can just mean that they're messing up, and like maybe it needs to say, hey, I need some support here.
Yeah. Yeah, hmm. I mean, it is the part of it. It is needs to speak up more. Because in a lot of ways, it kind of because it's mistrustful, it just turns his back on everything. It doesn't say. It's just stubborn. It says no, but without really giving much. Um, so yeah, it needs a bit more trust in there, and it kind of just needs the adults to admit that they really do not know.
Do you think
Admit
they
that,
can do that now, or do you feel like they can do that now?
yeah,
And what would that sound like?
hmm, um, it's the same. We try our best, but we really do not know a lot, or we do not know. There's a lot that we do not know, and we will make mistakes. Um, but we will try our best to make them as little as possible. But if we stick together and work together, the consequences of any mistakes that are made will probably be less for all of us and be easier to get through them. And your input is very valued. I guess
How does
that's what I would say.
How does that feel for your historian to hear those words?
It feels good. It's also still kind of like another something else relaxing internally.
Nice.
Yeah, some peace there. I mean, there's still the mistrust is not fixed, just like that. It's kind of like, well, I I need to see to believe it, sort of thing, but is willing to give it a chance to you know, yeah,
Nice. You ready to move on to your 3-year-old?
yes.
Awesome. So your 3-year-old inner child for the INFP, it's that executive in the bottom left corner here, outward facing thinking, nickname executive. The letters that describe it are TE. This all can get very confusing. You don't have to know this if you're listening, but so this executive is all about getting things done. It loves accomplishing things. It loves feeling like it's completed things. It loves having things in a really smooth order so you can go to A to Z really quickly and without any bumps going along. So what does your executive think about the change in schedule situation?
Um, I guess frustration is what's coming up for him as well. His frustration is more about why are we stuck in the schedule? Now let's do something to get out of this now.
Mm,
And also the other part of the frustration is also that there's so many things that needs to get done, you know, outside of work that
yes.
are now not being done because we are so tired from work. And so it's seeing so many things being undone and nobody moving to do anything.
Yep.
It's,
And that must be really hard for that 3-year-old of yours
yes.
to be seeing and not really having a lot of options over that because it's it's about it has the cognitive abilities essentially of a 3-year-old inner child.
Yeah.
What does that part of you need going forward?
Hmm. Well, part of it is to be listened to as well, because often it is not being consulted at all. Mostly not when we're deciding to do things, but mostly when we're deciding not to do things. He's not being consulted about, you know, if things are doable or not, or what he would want.
Mm.
And then on the other hand, it kind of he needs help to do things. So he's like he feels like he could do so much more if he could just get a hand.
Yeah. And what would that look
Um,
like, being able to get a hand?
and I guess getting a boost from the 10-year-old, like kind of mobilizing, um, I guess the body to get into action, sort of thing. Because a lot of times the 10-year-old does not want to do anything. That's part of it's got the brakes on, and then the 3-year-old just wants to keep going, just get your foot off the brakes and let's go. Um, and then also from the other ones, the inner parent could definitely um, take, I guess, that 3-year-old along. And I mean, the two of them working together, there's a lot that can be done, because they're both able to look at the outer world and stuff. So I guess giving helping with like different ways to do things that might be helpful, or new ideas, or just kind of coming up with kind of if the original plan didn't work, for example, coming up with a plan B or something like that they could help with. And then from the adult, I guess, would be the staying firm. Like once the decision is made to do something, let's stay firm with that and get it done. And give it the boost there.
Yep. And how is that? How is that 3-year-old of yours feeling right now?
I guess he's grateful maybe that he got a turn to speak. Still waiting.
Nice. And what I find really interesting is as we went around to each of those different parts of you and gave them a voice, each one of them were unhappy in their own way with the situation. Like none of them are like, this is great. So they're all being impacted. It's just in the different ways. And
yes.
It's also interesting is as you go to the different parts, they have the different voices and different ways that they're operating that if you can tap into, it can help give that part of you a voice into what's going on and why they're stuck and what that part needs to get things going forward. And how are you doing overall right now as we're wrapping up?
I'm doing good right now. This was very helpful. Just give me some more clarity of what's going on internally. So yeah, that clarifies things. And I guess it's giving me ideas.
Nice.
How things can change.
And then what was your major takeaway from today?
Well, I mean, I would say that they need to work together, no problem. But on top of that, I guess what struck me the most from what we talked about is that my adult needs to step up more. It's kind of taken a hands-off approach for a lot of things, and I think it could do.
The beauty of that ethicist is that it can be a real asshole sometimes. Sometimes that is needed. Of like, no, we're not doing this. I'm not tolerating this shit anymore. It can bring that energy that the rest of you is like, okay, let's go along. So you need that energy in your life, and especially getting comfortable with being that firm hand of saying, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to pause. Look, inner parent, we're going to pause here, even though I know it's uncomfortable for you and you want to keep going. Inner historian, I know you're frustrated. You've got 3 minutes to talk to me about other things that you see going on that could be potentially helping, and then it can roll off, and then you can go to your outward thinking and saying, what's one thing we can do here to make this change simpler, or how can we create a plan B for this, for what we're doing going forward. So embrace that asshole part of you, because it can actually be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Are you ready for your homework?
Yes.
I would love for you to pick one boundary with each of these 3 roles. Actually, each of these 3 roles, the inner parent, the 10-year-old, and the 3-year-old, set a boundary with that adult self with each of those roles about what you're not going to do anymore or what you want more of. Like, look, I need more of this from you.
Okay.
How does that feel for you?
So pick a boundary or a request from
Yep.
each of the three towards the adult.
Yes.
Okay.
So this can help all of you get more together.
Okay.
And when they start going off, you need to corral, just like the empathy you were talking about at the beginning, it's going to have to corral you guys in.
Right. Right. Okay.
Is this,
Okay.
what's interesting is the better your adult self gets with setting boundaries with these other parts of you, the more self-love you're going to feel and the more you're going to trust yourself and the less you'll be triggered by this shit going wrong because you can go, oh, that sucked. What did I need to do differently? Rather than all four part of you going like this sucked. You'll come in together and go, what do we need to do differently? How can we do that going forward so we're not doing the same shit all the time? And I've been cursing a lot in this episode, so apologies if I'm triggering. But sometimes you need that strong fight, that
Yeah, it helps. Yes. Okay. So yeah, this is good actually. I like this homework. I'll definitely put some time to think of it.
Nice. And we will talk in 2 weeks. Thank you so
Yes.
much for your time today.